My name is Tammy Cash. I'm the KDE consultant for Regions 1 and 2. Today we're doing a power hour of learning over the Continuation Progress Report, or as we call it, the CPR. This report is due for cycle 20 this year. This is a report that grantees complete during their third year of programming. And this year it is cycle 20's turn. Questions to consider before we get started. Does your data illustrate that the grant goals were met? So when you look at your grant, you have grant goals, and under each goal, you have some objectives or indicators. You must report on each of those indicators. So if goal 1 has 2 indicators, or if goal 1 has 6 indicators, it does not matter. You have to report on each of your indicators. So that's what we're looking for with your data. You need to be sure you're collecting that data, and you want to ask yourself the question, does my data illustrate that I have met these grant goals and indicators? If not, what will you need to change in years 4 and 5 to ensure that grant goals are met in those next 2 years? Another thing to consider, are the target population's needs being met? In your grant, you have a target population that has been identified. Be sure you know, and hopefully by your 3rd year, you are well versed in who your target population is. Go back and review that. That's, you want to make sure that you are meeting those needs. Learning objectives for today. By the end of this session, the 21st century site coordinators will understand how to correctly complete the Continuation Progress Report. You will understand requirements for data collection, how to name your documents, as well as email expectations when you're sending the report to your assigned program consultant. So a question you've probably heard, for if you've spent any time in 21st century, any number of years at all, you've heard this question probably annually. Does after-school programs work? Do they actually work? What difference are we making? According to the After School Alliance, students who regularly attend, now that doesn't mean, they might attend 1 week and you don't see them again till spring, but students that attend regularly to a well-run after-school program tend to improve their homework completion and class participation. Their behavior in class during the day improves, as well as 1 in every 2 students increase their math and reading grades. So we do make a difference. We just got to make sure we're putting in the effort. So as I mentioned earlier, does the data show that you are meeting your goals? Well, you might ask, what data should I be collecting? Hopefully you started collecting this data in year 1 of your grant, and it's not something that you're having to backtrack on. If you didn't, then you're going to be doing some backtracking to get that data for years 1 and 2, as well as this year. You want to look at interim assessments. Examples of that may be the MAP test, iReady, STAR. There's a variety, and I know a lot of districts use different ones. So check with your district, make sure you have access to those scores so that you can complete your Continuation Progress Report. This just gives you a definition of what an interim assessment does. It is a checkpoint that's given during the school year. Sometimes it may be given, depending on the test, it may be given 3 times a year, 4 times a year. So maybe it's only twice a year. There may be some that are more frequent, that are weekly or monthly. It all depends upon the type of assessment. So you want to make sure you have at least one assessment identified that you're going to use for reading and one that you're going to use for math. Some of the other data that you're going to want to be sure you're collecting for each school year, each grant year, are things like your center profiles, self-check reports that you can pull from your Transact system, attendance summary reports, also something you can pull from Transact. There's a lot of data in Infinite Campus that you will need to have access to. And again, when I say Infinite Campus, it's not just everything in Infinite Campus, and it's not school day attendance necessarily. It may be behavior, but what drives what data you're collecting from Infinite Campus is going to be what your indicators state. So, you know, find that logic summary in your grant, the logic model, and it will have all of your indicators, and that's how you know what you need to ask for. You may have surveys, whether it be student surveys, maybe you survey your staff annually, survey your parents. If you have an indicator that focuses on parent engagement, hopefully you have done some surveys to help back up whatever that indicator states. So these are all things you should be collecting from year to year. So we have updated our CPR form. It is located on our webpage. This link will take us there. I'll show you just real quick for those of you that may not be familiar. So when you get to our webpage, you will scroll down, and over here on the right-hand side, you have program forms, and fourth one down, continuation progress report. So click on that, download the form. That way you'll ensure that you have the most up-to-date form. All right. Submitting forms and questions to your KDE consultant. We've sent this out, I think, a number of times, but this is just a reminder. When you are sending anything in the subject line of your email, this is the stuff, the information that we want you guys to include. We need your district name, the school name, what cycle you are, the type of grant, whether you are a new or a continuation, and the type of request or what the document is. So if you're sending in your continuation progress report, you may put Barron as your district. Maybe it's Barron County High School, Cycle 20, continuation, and then CPR or continuation progress report. This ensures that we can find the stuff that we need in a timely manner to address it and get back to you guys. So it's important to make sure you include these things in your subject line. It just helps things go so much smoother and so much faster for turnaround time. Now, naming documents is a little bit different. When you save your continuation progress report, and you need to save it as a working Word document, when you name that, you need to put your fiscal agent or district, name of school, and then the type of request or document that it is. So for example, Boyd County Middle School, you don't have to put the word school. We know it's a school. Boyd County Middle purchase request, or in this case, continuation progress report. If the name of your district is in the name of the school, you don't necessarily have to put Boyd County, then Boyd County Middle. We know that. But if it's, for instance, Barron County and Eastern Elementary, then yes, be sure to list it separately. We do need that information in the name of your document. So that's just a little reminder of when you're sending stuff in. A couple of other reminders before we go over our example CPR. When you're completing forms and compliance documents, please do not change the format or the font. Don't delete columns or add anything, insert pages, things of that nature. When you send this back to us, we need this to be in the same format as when you downloaded it. So that should be as a Word document. If you download it and you are going back and forth, changing it from a Word document to a Google Docs document or a PDF and then having to change it back, it messes up the formatting. So please don't do that. Save it as a working Word document, complete it, save it again, and send it back to us. Now, of course, the QRR, you guys have to scan that into one PDF document because you're including other things. That's the one exception. We do not accept Google Docs, so please do not send those to us. One other thing I will say while we are in here, and it will make more sense once I pull up the example. You're going to be including a lot of data in this CPR. We need you to do the analysis. We need you to look at it. We need you to determine how many students raise their score in reading or whatever, the indicator is asking for. And we need you to type that into our document. Please do not scan in a bunch of iReady individual pages for students showing us what their scores were. We don't want that. We are not the ones to do the analysis. That is something that you should be doing. And then you justify with your data whether or not you met the indicator. So it'll make a little more sense once you see the example. This is our example of the continuation progress report. As always, the first page has a lot of identifiable information that we need you guys to complete. We have a little reminder up there highlighted in yellow. This is due to your KDE consultant no later than March 31st of 2026. You'll put the date you submitted, all of your identifiable information, including number of regular attendees, which is your 90+ hour students, and your number of daily attendees. If you do not know how to find this number, email your KDE consultant and we will get you some instructions sent out to you. So be sure you complete all of that. And then first thing, we ask you to summarize your program. I'm not going to read this to you. We will touch on a few different areas throughout the document, but I'm not sure either today or tomorrow, Miss Emily McCoy will send this example out to you guys via email, along with the continuation progress report form, which you can also download, and hopefully you've already been working on it. But we will send that stuff out to you so that you will have this as a guide. So this asks you to describe the first 3 years of your program, including the types of programming and enrichment activities, community involvement, things of that nature that you have had throughout the, well, technically 2.5 years by the time you are writing this. You don't quite have your 3rd year finished when you have to submit this. So again, we tried to provide you an example here to kind of give you an idea of how much detail you needed to include. Next, we ask for a collaboration overview. This is where you're going to talk about the partners and the co-applicant, and what they have done, how they have been active in your program over the past 2.5, 3 years. I would bullet the list and talk specifically about what each one has done, what they've offered. When you do this, I would also recommend, if you notice, we put things in the example here, like provides yoga once a week. Don't just say they provide a yoga class or whatever. And, tell us how frequently they were involved. Were they involved each year? And how frequently during those years? What did they provide? Did they help with parent engagement? Was it more supply related? Just as much detail as you can, but again, you don't need to write 3 pages on it either. So be concise and to the point, and make sure you include just, the main important stuff. Evaluation and assessment. So this is where you're going to start including some data. And again, I won't read this to you, but be sure. Sometimes we get a lot of these reports and I'm not 100% certain that everybody reads exactly what we're asking for. So be sure you read and see exactly what we're asking you for in each section. That will also help you on, having to repeat yourself too many times. Sustainability plan. It says attach a detailed copy. That is fine, but you do not want to put this in a PDF. So be sure you just send a copy of your sustainability plan. It also asks for a copy of your inventory list. When you submit those items, please be sure they are completed. So this is where we get to our goals. Goal 1 talks about achievement of regularly participating students. Now the objectives or the indicators that you will find under these goals in your grant, those were written by your district. So everyone's is different. And we need you to type those in because you're going to have a little text box right here. And you're going to type that in, not part of it, not half of it, not a summary of it. We need you to type your indicator exactly as it is stated in your grant. Then, status of objective. You will have a drop-down box here. You're going to select whether or not you met the stated objective or you did not meet. If you did not meet the objective, for instance, this one says 10% each year. Okay, maybe you didn't. Maybe your program did not meet that goal. It's okay to mark did not meet. Please don't mark that you met it when you didn't. So either way, mark it, and then you're going to provide the data to back it up. For instance, this one says that we met it. So let's look at what our data says. Well, I'm sorry. Let me go back up. So to increase the number of students meeting benchmark in reading 10% each year, I give a lot of information here about what we did. And then you will see in the tables, we provide the information for each year. So according to our reading map scores, 23% was meeting in the fall, 30, 36. This is for each school year. Then we show the winter benchmark. Did we go up 10%? And so forth. Percent of students increased reading grades from fall to spring. So a variety of data was used to show whether or not we met the indicator. Now, since we did not meet it, we gave the information showing what progress we did make. Then there's another little section if you didn't meet it. If the objective was not met, explain how it will be addressed in years 4 and 5. So sometimes we often get responses on this that just says, we'll focus on reading more. No, we need you guys to give us detail. If you have looked at this data and you know, okay, we didn't meet this goal in the past 2.5 going on 3 years, you should have a plan, a specific plan, not just, oh, well, we're going to focus a little more on reading. We need a specific plan of what you're going to implement. What changes are you going to make to ensure that in years 4 and 5, you do meet that indicator, that goal. Objective 2 under that same goal. Increase the number of students meeting benchmarks in math by 10% each year. Okay, didn't meet it. Once again, there's a summary of what was done, strategies that was used from year to year. If you notice, we say during the second year of programming, you know, what changed from year 1. So if you will use this example as a guide, I think it will help you greatly in laying out your information. So again, we've got our little tables we put in here to show the benchmarks from fall, winter, spring, what our center profile showed, homework completion, and again, since we did not meet it, what are we going to do in years 4 and 5? So that's kind of the layout for each one. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Well, just real quick on this one, since it specifically talks about 90-hour students. When you're doing this, if your indicator specifies 90-hour students or your indicator specifies 30-day students, that's the only ones you want to look at for that particular data. So make sure you're aware of your indicators. And again, make sure you're typing them in exactly as they are stated in your grant. Again, we included a table here, number of students that attended 90 hours or more. Again, I'm not going to read this to you, but you can see how we laid it out from year to year. In the last 3 years, I think all the RFAs have said, you know, stated that your objectives and things needed to be annual. We do have some grants that still did not write them as annual objectives. If they didn't, maybe it says 10% over a 3-year period. We need you to break that down annually. So if it's 10% over 3 years, then you need to look at your data and say, okay, did we increase, you know, whatever it is, reading scores by 3.3% annually? So break it down if it's not written as an annual objective. Again, if you didn't meet it, you're going to explain what you're going to do in years 4 and 5. I want to skip on down to the one that talks about engagement. Let's see. If you notice here, now this is a possibility. This is not, if you are tech savvy enough to do this, this is a snippet that was inserted from the Transact data system. So you can do that, but don't just do that. We don't want to analyze that. You can put it in there as evidence, but you should be explaining what we're looking at. Quality programming. All right, here, no, sorry, this is college and career. I think the terminology has changed. It's transition readiness now, but it's all the same as far as what you're doing. Again, we broke it down from year to year. All right, goal 6, increase educational opportunities for parents and families. Parent participation in adult skill building. It's no longer adult skill building, but again, this is just an example. You can still do adult skill building if, you know, these same type of things. You can also do parent engagement is more the focus now. But these you can use some of these same things and them be parent engagement. It's just a matter of how you do it. The whole point of the example is to show you how to lay out your data. So again, we're doing year 1. This is what we offered. This is how many attended. When you're looking to see how many attended, how many parents you actually reached for that school year, you want to look at the unduplicated number. You find that number by running an attendance summary report in Transact. You can, when you're setting it up to pull the report, you can select only adults, because that's all you're looking at for this. And up at the top, when you get the report, there will be a number that is called unduplicated. So that is how many adults you actually reached, got them to come in at least once for a parent session. So 4 the first year, 2 the second, 6 the second year, increasing by 2. And then year 3, so far we had 7. So again, did we meet our goal? Well, 5% annually is what our goal stated. So you just have to do the math. Did we not? And then mark it. If you didn't, then you're going to explain more. Increase the number of parent engagement sessions. So you are required to do 4 annually. Some people do have more, and which is fine. But at minimum, you have to have 4 annually, 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring. So if you have a goal like this that you're going to increase, then year 2, you're going to have more than 4 to meet your goal, even though 4 is your basic requirement. Again, your district is the ones who wrote the objectives. So those are that's what you have to meet, that you know, so it may be that you have to have more than 4 in order to meet your objective. All right. So one other thing I do want to say, I think our form has, when you go under here for a goal and there's a place to put type in your objectives, I think the form only has two places for an objective, and you may have more objectives. If that is the case, email your KDE consultant and we will send you another form that has more spaces so that you can address all of your objectives. All right. So I can't see the chat right now. Let's see. Let me get out of this. And, oops. All right, see if we have any questions to address.
Looks like, Tammy, we have one from Cindy. She says, my school changed from MAP to iReady. How should I address that for my comparison data?
Unfortunately, Cindy, that happens sometimes, and it's not always easy. So the best thing I can tell you is for the years that you had MAP, just do year one and lay it out for us. This was our MAP scores. This is what it looked like. You know, and then you can just make a statement in there that the district got away from MAP and went to iReady. I mean, that's really all you can do. Sometimes it's like comparing apples to oranges. Cause you know, all the interim assessments, they're all different. I mean, you know, they measure completely different. So just do the best you can as far as laying out your data and explaining whether or not, you know, your students met benchmark or whatever. All right. So if that's all the questions, we won't keep you all. We'll stay on here for a couple more minutes, but right now you may not even know what to ask. Questions may arise when you know, when you get into the weeds of doing this. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn my camera back on. Forgive me with all my switching back and forth. So as you are working on your CPR, if you find that you have questions as you go, reach out to your KDE consultant. You know, we can hopefully address any issues as you go and help you with that. But again, if you will take this example and read through it, make sure also that you're reading to see exactly what the section is asking you for. And if you break it down into annual data, it's much easier to lay it out. It's much easier to understand and know whether or not you've actually met your goal. So if you know, like I said, sometimes you don't know you've got questions until you get in the weeds. So feel free to always reach out to your KDE consultant. So Bridget, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for hopping on today. I know there's a lot of schools that are closed today and several that are doing NTI days. So we appreciate you all getting on the call. And, you know, like Tammy said, if you know, have any questions, please reach out to your KDE consultant. And we're going to give you back some of your time, about 20 minutes. And we're going to stay on here for about 10 more minutes if anyone has any questions. If not, then we are adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.